I'm Larry Taylor, partner with the Cochran Firm. The Cochran Firm and Radio 1 are proud to present to you Barbershop Series.
The barbershop is our community's meeting place. It's where everyone, regardless of education, regardless of status, where we're all equals and we're able to discuss our feelings, our point of views, and discuss topics that are affecting us. The Barbershop Series is a continuation of those discussions, talking about relevant topics that affect our community, bringing forth information that will help those who listen or see it make informed decisions that will assist them. When Johnny started this firm, it was built off the premise that it would be a guiding light for justice for our communities. We at the Cochran Firm wish to continue his legacy in being that beacon of light and helping provide justice for our communities.
Today on the Barbershop Series, we'll be discussing how to interact with law enforcement. Stay tuned. It could save your life.
Okay, we all know that we have some issues with the court system, but more importantly, with everything that's been happening with your Michael Browns and your Trayvon Martin situations, can you tell me some things that, what can we do better when interacting with law enforcement?
I would say education. A lot of times, if you know how to approach a certain situation, you'll know how to come out, on the upper end of it. That's what I would say. So, a lot of times we get pulled over or stopped, and we're not fully aware of our rights. So, therefore, if we find a way to educate ourselves, it'll be that better for us.
Absolutely true. Because if you can de-escalate the situation right there, whether the officer's got a bad attitude or not, that will make everything go that much better.
Right.
One thing police officers hate is a complaint. So, and that's what, as African American people or just about anybody, what we don't do is use that complaint process enough to when we feel like we've been mistreated. You document everything. Immediately after that, you write it down somewhere, and you go to their agency and file a written complaint about what happened there. Once that complaint is written, it has to be investigated, especially here in the state of Texas.
I think you gotta also know and understand that they already kind of scared of you. The way you look, your appearance, they already kind of fearful and suspicious of you by the time they walk up to the car. That's gonna kind of determine, how they come at you. But that don't mean that you got to react the way that they going to react towards you. But the way they already view you, that they going to react towards that when they see you. It ain't even got to be at a traffic stop. It could be just in the grocery store, in the gas station. Your appearance, the way they view you, is going to determine how they act towards you when they see you.
So what if you didn't do anything? What if you just walking and they say, hey, you, come here. And you're like, I'm just walking home. You know what? How many of you guys have heard this saying, dead men tell no tales?
Yeah.
That is so true. I tell my sons all the time, you get stopped by law enforcement, I don't care what the situation is. I don't care if you were minding your own business. You stay respectful. You stay calm. Don't raise your voice. Keep your hands and your palms visible. Because no one can say you were ever grabbing for anything if they can see the palms of your hand.
You don't want them to get him a reason and say, well, it looked like he was doing something, because they're already looking for you to initiate something anyway. Any little thing.
Okay, but what y'all saying with that? Why do we have to, first of all, why do we have to do so much to make it better?
We should have to.
But it's not, I don't think it's just us. I think it's people in general.
It is.
I'm a 25-year law enforcement veteran. I still get nervous when I get stopped by police officers, still today.
Right.
All right? If once I get my driver's license out and I hand that and they ask for an insurance card, I tell them that I'm going to go for it. It's in the glove box. I'm going to go into the glove box or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think attitude makes a big difference because 25 years, I made a lot of traffic stops in my life. A lot of times I already had it made up in my mind before I ever got out the car what action I was going to take. Was I going to write a ticket or was I going to give a warning? Now, attitude at the car window can change the warning to a ticket or a ticket to a warning just based on attitude. So I think that's very important when somebody else said down here, you know, just stay respectful. Ask for why you're being stopped. If it's a legit reason that you're being stopped, the officer have no problem at all telling you what that is. You know?
And man, I want to touch on your point. It's not fair.
Yeah.
It's not right. However, just like when you lived in your parents' household, there are rules to and protocol to interaction. Until we get to that day where everyone is considered equal, or a certain facet of the population isn't necessarily deemed threatening, you need to do what you need to do to come home safely and come home alive. Because I would much rather have my son come home
Right.
and be wrong than to be dead and gone and also be wrong. And so what we're trying to do is to educate young men and have a conversation and say, hey, look, man, calm down.
Yeah.
Don't flare up. Keep your hands still. Keep your hands visible. Because you could very well, like the officer said, eventually talk your way out of whatever funk or whatever he thought you did. Now, you do have certain rights. You have the right to ask, why are you stopping me? Why are you detaining me? And if you ask why, if I'm under arrest and he says no, ask him, am I free to leave? And when you leave, don't flick him off or say anything or don't provoke him. Walk off calmly. But at the same time, make sure that you took down his name and his badge number. I've helped so many young men and families file complaints based off of that same thing. And don't be afraid to file a complaint. Because what you don't know is that complaint goes into his personnel file. And if you have so many complaints in your file, now you start affecting his ability to move up, to get other jobs. Because now you've set a record in place that this officer has or potentially has a problem with a segment of the community or abuses their power.
A traffic stop is one of the most dangerous things you can do in law enforcement because you got all the other traffic that's coming that you got to deal with. So if somebody asked me to get out of the car, I would actually make sure that I wasn't standing between the cars so that if another car hits it, you don't get run over.
But it was just to get out of the car because they ran my name and seen who I was.
I was just about to say
It wasn't because of whatever. It was just because of who I am.
that's what I was about to say. Once they run you, if you done been in some type of situation like
they
that,
gonna let
once
me
they
know,
run
and
your
they gonna
name,
tell
they
you
treat
to
you
get out.
different.
Well,
Yeah.
there's rules around that also.
It is.
And the rules is that you can run a driver's license check, a registration check on the car, and for warrants or anything like that, right? Depending on what that return is, then you can kind of move to something else. Officers generally don't run criminal histories on the side of the road, so what you've done in your past generally won't come up unless the officer finds a reason I need to dig a little bit deeper than this.
So let me
I've always
let me
had a brother.
let me start helping us wrap this up. Two things, and then I'll get to you. Education piece. Number one, stop driving around with tickets.
Absolutely.
Wait a minute, say that one more time.
Stop driving around with tickets. That is the number one thing that get most of my clients in trouble. Like, man, they didn't have no reason to stop me, and they stopped me, and then they looked in my car and they found this. And then all of a sudden you go back and you look, you're like, man, you have 17 tickets out of 3 different counties.
Absolutely.
Pay your ticket.
Pay tickets.
tickets
And
are
drive with a
expensive.
driver's license.
Because once you get that ticket, or there's a warrant attached to that car that you were driving, there is forever a stigma on that vehicle of someone who will drive or someone who has driven that car with the warrant. And that will give them, like you say, that excuse to stop you. And then if you've done anything in your life, and I tell my clients this, if you've done anything in your life, don't necessarily let that define you. And if they try to define you with that, what you have to do is attitude. Officer, can I help you? Officer, why'd you stop me? Officer, I don't wish to get out my car. Can you articulate to me why I need to get out my car? If you want me to get out my car, officer, could you please have a supervisor come? Because what you want to do is you want to start escalating things into a point where you start getting a record. What we have to stop doing is stop letting simple things turn into major things.
Don't think just because you look weak because you obey the law.
Right.
No, man, if I get a speeding ticket in less than 15 days, that is taken care of. Because I'm not going to give anyone an excuse to pull me over, harass me, or potentially keep me from going home to my kids. The Cochran Firm and Radio 1 would like to thank you for joining us today. We also would like to thank All Star Barbershop for hosting. We hope that you found the information helpful, life-changing, and life-saving. Thank you, and God bless.
The Cochran Firm was founded by Johnny Cochran more than 40 years ago. While Johnny became nationally recognized for high-profile cases such as the O.J. Simpson trial and representing artists such as Tupac Shakur, Puff Daddy, and Snoop Dogg, it was his dedication for justice for everyday Americans that endeared him to many Americans. It was this same drive that made this firm what it is today. It is an honor to be part of this law firm, to continue the legacy of Johnny Cochran at making sure that justice is provided for the least and for those in our community.